It's been clear for a long time that love is at the center of Unitarian Universalism. When I first became a UU at the turn of the century, every Sunday morning service at the Unitarian Society of Hartford included, after lighting the chalice, a unison reading of the Blake Covenant. Love is the spirit of this church. When I was candidating here 14 years ago, I spoke of what I had learned from working with the youth of the Mountain Desert District, that how we love is much more important than what we believe. As the youth themselves put it in their vision of youth ministry, across all that divides us, we gather to protect all that unites us. 7 years ago, when we met here to articulate our mission, the very first thing we agreed upon was that love is one of the essential core values that define us as a congregation, and that we are called to connect in love. And in a sermon last year, I shared with you something that many of you suspected anyway, and that is that the most common noun in our whole hymn book is love. Then there's what is now called Side with Love, the UU public advocacy campaign that seeks to harness love's power to stop oppression. Founded in 2004 as part of the movement for marriage equality, and now working for climate justice and reproductive rights, for trans equality and democracy itself. And as far as our Unitarian Universalist Association is concerned, the 1984 covenant named as a source of our religious tradition Jewish and Christian teachings which call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves, while the 2024 covenant says that love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. Now, that's all great, and it's perfect for t-shirts and memes and stickers, but the question does come up. What do we actually mean by love? The word is used in lots of ways in our society, after all. And yes, in UU and more generally religious circles, we do mean love in a specific sense. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Chris Bice was on the last week of his 2008 sabbatical from the Tennessee Valley UU Church in Knoxville when a man took a shotgun out of a guitar case and opened fire during the Sunday morning service. Describing the congregation's recovery after the shooting, Chris said, "We thought it was about us. What we discovered was that it was about the entire Knoxville community. Our children were their children. We had people show up from the Tibetan Buddhist Center, from the synagogues, the local mosque, and a wide variety of Christian churches. The people who have come to feed us," he continued, "come from churches you'd consider conservative, liberal, and everything in between. But they fed us and loved us and didn't discriminate on the basis of race or sexual orientation. It's been a reflection of overwhelming, overpowering love." Now, you know what he meant by love here. It's about our actions to help and care for one another being much more important than what we might believe. It's about what we do being much more important than debates about what we mean. But for the record, when Chris and I and other colleagues in both Unitarian Universalism and other liberal religions, when we refer to love, we do mean it in a very specific theological sense. Different people have different ways of talking about different types of love, of course. Author and Christian apologist C.S. Lewis, for instance, wrote a book called The Four Loves. But most of our ideas about types of love come from the ancient Greeks, who had at least 6 words for distinct meanings of what we call love. For instance, there's storge, which refers to family attachment, especially of parents and children. The Greeks also used it to refer to patriotism or enthusiasm for a sports team. Then there's philia, the friendship between equals, the affection and loyalty between friends. Quaker William Penn added adelphos, meaning brother, to over-define Philadelphia as the city of brotherly love. There's also philautia, meaning self-love, which comes in two types: unhealthy, selfish egotism and healthy self-compassion. There's eros, which can mean intimate love, particularly sexual desire, but which Plato also took to mean an appreciation for the beauty within a person rather than outward physical attraction. And there's xenia, which is the ancient concept of hospitality, the care and feeding of travelers, the welcoming of strangers. If you've been keeping count, that's 5. And perhaps philia and xenia sound like they apply to what a religious community means by love, but there's number 6, and that is agápē, divine love, covenantal love, even sacrificial love. Not just compassion and loving kindness, but what C.S. Lewis defined as a selfless love that is passionately committed to the well-being of others. So when the writers of the Christian Gospels recorded that Jesus said to love God and to love your neighbors as yourself and to love your enemies and to love one another, they used the verb form agápēo. And when Paul wrote to the Corinthians to remind them that love is patient, love is kind, love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude, yes, he used agápē every time. Oh, and the word beloved that we use to talk about the beloved community, aka the kingdom of heaven on earth, that's the adjective form, agapétos. So when the 1984 sources refer to Jewish and Christian teachings that call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves, that follows from this long tradition. And it's definitely talking about love in the sense of agápē. And that's the form of love named in the new UUA covenant too. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. This is what we mean when we refer to love, from side with love to connect in love. Not just friendship or kindness, not just feeding or appreciating one another, but a selfless love that is passionately committed to the well-being of others. That's what we mean by love. It is by our fruits that we are known. Love isn't just something inside us, something abstract. It's what we do to and for and with others. So let's talk about that for a few minutes. And I'm going to ask you a question. If you have an answer, feel free to raise your hand and I'll repeat what you said so that everybody can hear you. But my question is, why do you come on Sunday mornings? I mean, you're all here. You must all have a reason. Why do you come, Lenny?
For wisdom and fellowship.
For wisdom and fellowship. Thank you. Tara? To work on someone's spiritual journey and for fellowship. Terry?
I've been gone for a while, but in my gonness, I connected with one of the circle.
Fellowship circle.
And that is a beautiful acceptance.
So another reason for coming here is to participate in fellowship circles and to connect with other people. Yeah, much as we do on Sunday mornings too. Solstice.
Because this is a church that works to make the world a better place.
This is a church that works to make the world a better place.
Nurturing and fellowship.
Come for nurturing and fellowship. Thank you, Michael. Susan.
I come to make a new, fresh start of the week.
To make a fresh start for the week. For most people, Sunday morning is the start of the week. Peachy.
Community, which is what everyone else is kind of saying at the same time, and just in different words.
Yes.
Or how it affects the community around you.
Yes. So to be in community with other people, which certainly is a common theme here. Connie.
Connect with open-minded people and see where I can be a help to them.
To connect with open-minded people and to see how we can help one another. Part of the Blake Covenant. Jerry.
Back in the early days of the fellowship circle program, talked about coming here for intimacy and ultimacy.
Yes, the twin values of intimacy and ultimacy.
Everything that everybody said, plus this free food.
You come for the food. Yes, that is a reason for a number of people. Sandra.
Intellectual stimulation and friendship.
Intellectual stimulation and friendship. Thank you. So hold on to all of that. For what you've heard are the reasons why people come here on a Sunday morning. Now, as I think almost everybody is aware, there is a lot happening here right now. Even before we started the process of buying a new property and getting it ready to move into it and getting ready to move out of this property, there was a lot happening here. And the transition has only added to that level of busyness. In fact, the Committee on Ministry during my sabbatical started talking about how we can focus on the most important things so that people don't get tired and burned out. But the Committee on Ministry has now also realized that we're too busy to talk about being less busy. But part of the way that affects us is on Sunday mornings. Because when we come here and see other people, and maybe we're on a committee with them, maybe we're on the board with them, maybe we're on a team or task force with them, it's easy to start talking business with them because you're both in the same place at the same time. But nobody said that they come here on Sunday mornings for committee meetings or to talk business with other people. They talk about fellowship and friendship, just being with one another as people and checking in with one another about how they're doing, how their friends are doing, how their week was, if they have anything exciting coming up. And of course, we should all of us who are members, be focused on talking to first-time visitors and getting to know our newest members as well. And we can't do that if we're huddled with one another having an ad hoc committee meeting. So I'm going to introduce something that is purely voluntary, but it sounds like most of you are on board with this. Pam, if you'd put it up on the screen. I haven't found a better word for this, but this is the No Talking Business on Sunday Mornings pledge. United by love and embodying gentleness, we pledge to respect people's spiritual needs for friendship, for fellowship, for community on a Sunday morning, and refrain from talking business with one another as individuals. This doesn't prevent pulpit minutes. It's not the reason we didn't have one today. It doesn't prevent official meetings from taking place like the town hall after. But it allows everybody who comes here on a Sunday morning to simply enjoy being here rather than having to talk about some aspect of the move to a new building, or what the board did last month, or what some committee meeting has on its agenda for the following week. So We're going to take a little time now, and I'm going to invite you to be brave and sign this pledge.
All sign, all sign.
If you attended this year's UUA General Assembly, or watched it online, or read about it in the new issue of UU World, you'll know that one of the most powerful moments came at the end of the debate over a proposed business resolution titled Embracing Transgender, Non-Binary, Intersex, and Gender Diverse People is a Fundamental Expression of UU Religious Values. This is timely, given that in the last 2 years alone, well over 1,000 anti-trans bills have been proposed in just about every state, including Virginia. And 132 of them have become law. And if you know anything about Project 2025, you'll know that amongst its 900 pages of horribleness, not only does it plan to outlaw pornography, but it includes in its definition of pornography the, quote, omnipresent propagation of transgender ideology, end quote. So any trans person's story, any non-binary person's life experiences would be labeled as pornography. And since, quote, the people who produce and distribute pornography should be imprisoned, end quote, then trans people could be arrested simply for being themselves. So at this year's UUA General Assembly, the resolution to embrace transgender and non-binary people as an expression of our UU values was ultimately adopted with a 92% vote in favor. However, while some accounts report that the debate before the vote was charged or heated, the more honest word would be harmful. A number of our genderqueer UUs spoke about the pain, injury, and violence they experienced in what was said by some of their fellow UUs. So that's the context for the clip from that GA session that we're going to watch, with the final speaker in favor of the resolution.
The last 90 seconds, we will return to the proposer, the sponsor of this business resolution, Reverend Jacaren Oloya. And I now recognize Reverend Jacaren from the pro line for 90 seconds. Please set the speaker time for 90 seconds.
To my trans, non-binary, intersex, or gender diverse beloveds, lean in, lean in. I love you. I love you. I love you. Please do not leave this space without feeling my love and the love of others who see you as divine. I love you. You are divine. I love you. You are holy. I love you. You know who you are. I love you. You are worthy of being whoever you need to be to survive and thrive in this world. I love you, and I will say it for 50 seconds if I need to. I love you. 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 Do not leave this space without knowing that you are loved. If you are ever in doubt, call me, email me, text me, because what we will not do in this space is let you go another moment believing anything other than the fact that you are loved deeply just as you are. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Love is the spirit of this church. Across all that divides us, we gather to protect all that unites us. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. For this is a selfless love that is passionately committed to the well-being of others, and it is by the fruit of our love that we are known. May it be so.